Всем хай, вас приветствует команда GameTalk или Хаоса в мире порядка Гмаил. Сегодня мы продолжим проходить Call of Cthulhu. Это будет 9 глава. Загружаемся. Пока будет идти загрузка, мы тут с женой пивка попьем. Из психушки мы, кстати, сбежали успешно. К сожалению, я один из вентилей так и не нашел. Возможно, там как-то повлиял на сюжет, если бы я рванул весь этот веселящий газ. Но пока что мы вернулись в особняк. Нас ждет наш стрёмный полицай. Это мы уже видали.
Who goes there?
Да никого тут нету, дебил, вставай.
That nightmare again. I need a drink.
Мой бедный Йорик. Что-то новых книжечек мы не нашли. Меня постоянно раздражает, что в играх прыжка нет. Бегем. Все-таки, возможно, новая книжка будет. А херов там ночевало. Спуск.
You're awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
Ты бабенка подошла.
Did I sleep long?
The day is only starting. It's fine.
Миссис Каменное лицо. А если я влево отойду, смотрю, у меня глаза бегают, голова тоже. Ну и злобный хер.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
Чё, хера убили для начала? Ну-ка, Брэдли, давай. А, у нас медицины не хватает, да? Мозгов хватает. Медицины не хватает.
I heard you talking earlier.
Why am I not surprised?
I get the impression you two don't get along.
Intrusive and not very clever. Anyway, let's get back to the business at hand.
What I'm sure of now is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
The fact that Charles Hawkins survived the fire.
I don't understand. Mr. Hawkins was buried.
That's what he would have you believe.
I have a hard time believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death? Do you think he covered up his wife's murder?
That's possible.
Seems hard to swallow. Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
Ну, самое смешное, что его завалили, а он тут нам еще причитает, что нас и спасает.
Bradley, what do you remember?
I don't understand your question.
The night we went into the Hawkins mansion. You don't seem to remember the tunnels and what occurred there.
No memory of going down any tunnel. No, we were in the manor, then,
Then what?
The rest is quite blurry. I don't recall how I came back home.
And then?
I went to visit you at the hospital, and called on Marie's help to get you released.
And you don't remember the events of the tunnel?
I don't. Let's talk about something else.
Что-то он как-то смазывается очень дико.
I met a Francis Sanders. Do you know him?
Of course, he's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins, and that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain it.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
I didn't see what, but something was there, with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins' visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
Какая разница, сохранять благоразумие или взглянуть в лицо правде?
You're right. Without a plausible explanation for what I saw, let's not jump to conclusions.
That seems wise indeed.
Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow.
Что-то там повлияло
Perhaps
на
I'll
нашу
find a
судьбу.
link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
Че, поговорить с вдовой? Ну, сейчас пойдем. Вдовушку навестим. У нас есть доступные очки, что в прошлый раз мы начали качать. Ну, короче, звездобольство вкачаем до трешечки. Куча книжечек.
The other night's events are still confused in my head.
Let us go now and learn the truth
Никогда
about
нам
what's
не будешь
happening
ничего
on this
рассказывать.
island.
Прям теперь как тайная резиденция. Телепорта только не хватает.
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders, I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Well, well, look who's here. You know each other.
Our paths crossed, briefly. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker.
Прикидывал на нее жестокий
This
шок.
way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me.
Забавные картины, Ван Гог отдыхает.
May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
Он умирал прямо у меня на глазах, страшно кричал. Ну, так и
He
было.
started raving, screaming that a dimensional shambler had found him.
Oh, mercy, that story again. Why have him interned?
That was when he began to convulse and twist with pain. Or terror, it's hard to tell.
I beg your pardon?
I'm not really sure of what I saw, or what I didn't see. But it's best that you weren't there.
I should have been there. What you're telling me is outrageous. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
Для того времени... Что-то у меня как-то веснушек больно до хрена. Что с ней происходит? Вот
So ask Fuller, he's the eminent doctor. But I would caution you, you'll find his treatments more terrifying than the illnesses he sets out to cure.
That churl no longer takes the trouble to receive me. He sends his secretary to tell me that I cannot see Francis. Me. His own widow. He must think that I am a terrible wife for having abandoned him in such a way. But I only wanted what was best for him.
I'm not here to condemn you, Mrs. Sanders.
Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can't imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it...
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long. The day the Shambler came into the Sanders' lives.
Теперь начинаем детективную историю.
A house of artists. A house of artists. Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even? Xander's accession register. He wrote beside the shambler, "Finally." What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting? He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom?
А, что это? Это бродяга, да.
Was she jealous of Sarah Hawkins? She first refused to sell the painting. How did that make her feel? A house of artists.
Почему пианино переезжать нельзя? Теперь более-менее понятно, что...
The Shambler. I need to see it. Did she really care for him after all?
Я подтверждаю получение письма, в котором вы требуете вернуть вам тело почившего мужа. К сожалению, вынужден сообщить, что я не могу вернуть его вам. В момент его помещения в лечебницу вы подписали формулу отказа, которая позволяет мне избавиться от тела таким образом, какой я сочту наиболее подходящим. Приношу вам свои глубочайшие соболезнования. Томас Фуллер. Ну да, прикольно. Туалет из него сделают. На пианино можно поиграть. Ага. Вот. Медицина поднялась. Где галерея-то, ее помнить? А, тут Ван Гог отдыхает, я уж не знаю, как придумал. Заперто. Не люблю игры, где воровать нечего.
The strange Amerindian pendant.
Вот теперь еще амулет стырили. Какие-то треска. Краткая история острова Даркуотер. Первого Гриммаута. Книга рассказывает о былой славе острова. Понятно.
I could use one of those.
Очередное снотворное.
Strange. For months, Sarah Hawkins refused to part with her
Дорогой
painting,
Фрэнсис,
to
умоляю тебя
finally give it away for
не
nothing.
мечтать даже об этой проклятой картине. Если наша дружба для тебя хоть что-то значит, пожалуйста, избавь меня от чувства вины. Я не могу стать причиной твоего падения. Прошу тебя, мой дорогой друг, забудь о бродяге. Твоя подруга Сара Хокинс. Короче, он ей не вдувал, жена зря беспокоилась.
An old diary.
Дневник жены священника, часть 3. В этом томе рассказывается о сообществе преподобного Виквуда. Его жена беспокоена странными снами, которые снятся пастве преподобного с момента прибытия на остров. Некоторые члены сообщества, в том числе и ее муж, начали говорить, будто бы эти видения посланы им Богом. Она боится, что их всех ждет судьба пропавшего племени. Не зря боится. Ключик. Молот тварей, том 2. Это энциклопедия чудовищных и неизвестных тварей. Я начинаю верить, что они существуют. Опять что-то на мою судьбу влияет. Большая, маленькая. Вопросы анатомии. Так, надо посмотреть, что нам подкинули. Так, одно доступное очко. Сейчас мы подняли красноречие. Медицина тоже понемножечку ползет. Конечно, намного лучше, чем оккультизм.
That's twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Some can be more fatal than others. What have you come looking for in this gallery?
I have a well-off client in Boston who heard about the death of Francis Sanders and wanted me to size up his estate before making an offer to his widow.
Nice story. Bad lie. Learn how to dupe, Detective. But as long as you keep out of my way, you're free to carry on with your visit.
And you? What brings you to the Sanders home?
I'm here on business. Irene asked me to liquidate all these paintings. She doesn't intend to hang around here for long.
Why you?
Believe it or not, there aren't many collectors on Darkwater. It needs someone with a network and a means of transport to the mainland. A choice that comes down to Fitzroy and me. And I'm far more pleasant, wouldn't you say?
У нас есть ключик, а у тебя нет. Но... Если здесь это херовина, значит придется от кого-то прятаться. Меня уже это напрягать начинает. Сфинкс? О, подайте бедному на пропитание.
The man transformed an entire wing of his manor into an art gallery.
Что-то медведь кого-то завалил. Тюлень какого-то. Так, вон пейзаж. Ну, по этому пейзажу уже ходили. Мальчик страус херачит. И вот он вся. Чисто одна большая пасть, что непонятно. неожиданный поворот событий. Спрятал. Это картина подлинная.
What the hell was that? Пошел нахер. Все, я от тебя спрятался, я в доме. Нет? Блин. What the hell was that?
Врать не буду. Раз, наверное, 20 запоролся. покажу вам только первый профуканный момент. Вроде как нашел, что нужно сделать. Главное сейчас не сдохнуть, потому что херня ходит.
Down. That thing came out of this painting. There has to be one. Maybe if I destroy it. Еще раз повторюсь, ненавижу, блин, стелс. What the hell was that?
Блять, это уже 100-й дубль. Я вообще не втираю, что нужно сделать. Перебил уже все стекла, что можно было. Будем надеяться, что сейчас хоть... Что, нет его, блин? Начинается опять.
Down. This dagger looks different.
Блядь, я надеюсь, этот дубль будет финальный. Покажу вам только... Иди нахер отсюда, блядь.
What's the matter with you? You sure you won't be needing that hand? You're losing it, Detective. At this rate, you're right. The bottle will get you before I do.
You didn't see anything.
I saw you within an inch of putting a dagger through your forearm. Did I miss something more interesting?
Ты заебись, чё до хера пропустила. Так, вроде баба не верит, что мы что-то тут... Думает, что хотели просто так себе руку отрубить. Ну, лучше
I was
первый
attacked
вариант.
by a creature. I pushed it back, I think.
I think so too.
You knew. You knew about the beast.
What are you talking about? Think yourself lucky that I saved your hand, even if it was to save my goods.
You mean me?
Don't flatter yourself, sweetheart. I'm talking about the contents of this gallery. And by the way, where do you think you're going with that dagger?
It saved my life. It's an extraordinary dagger.
You should talk to Algernon Drake. He's an antique dealer here on Darkwater. He'll tell you all about it. From what I saw in the ledgers, it was him who sold it to Sanders.
It's not your style to give me free information like that.
Take it as payment for being my canary. A simple trade-off. Now go see your antique seller. I've still got things to settle with Irene.
Ну, ключ мы оттуда спиздили. Он стоит, понять не может, что происходит. Ну, глава 7. Кого-то тут недавно завалили, походу. Чувак, ты жив? Чувак? Походу нет. Так, в общем-то, вот
Where's
мы
the bookseller?
закончили главу номер 6. Чувствую, до хера всего пропустили в спешке, но я как бы говорю, не фанатик квестов, а тут еще какие-то стелсы постоянно напрягает, но игра в принципе доставляет. В общем-то, до скорых встреч, с вами были Геймтолк и Агмаил.